Welcome back to the Demon Slayer Gaming channel. We're going to be continuing our Final Fantasy XIV Dungeon Guide series today. We're going to be taking a look at the first Endwalker Alliance raid, Aglaia. And once you progress up to the first boss, and when you pick him up, he'll cast Ordeal of Thunder. This is going to be party-wide damage, so it'll need to be healed through. When you cast Biragot's Strike, this is a knockback mechanic that you'll just want to move closer towards the knockback location so that you aren't pushed too far. Biragot's Ward is going to be the tank buster ability that does have a small AoE around it, so make sure that you're not positioned around the rest of the team. And when you cast Builder's Build, this is going to imbue him with lightning, causes his next Biragot's Strike to cause AoEs to fan out on the cardinal directions from the landing point, so make sure that you're standing at the inter-cardinal direction so that you can avoid the lightning that happens afterwards. Shortly after this, he'll knock away the outsides of the platform, making it possible to fall off. He will then summon multiple hammers on the outside of the platform that will knock the platforms in the direction that they are hitting them. So just pay attention to these. For the first one, the middle row is always safe that you can stand on. After this, he'll summon a hammer onto the platform that will do a line AoE from it. Now at the same time, he's going to summon multiple hammers on the outside of the platform that will reposition the platform. So the location the hammer is in is going to actually be shifted. So you'll want to check where it is going to be moving towards and then reposition yourself. After this, he'll again summon the hammers to knock all of the platforms in different directions, while also going to the middle and casting Biragot's Spire. So you'll want to move to a row that is going to be repositioned so that one corner is hanging off out of the AoE. So for us, it was the front row and the back row. After this, he'll turn the platform back to normal before casting another Biragot's Strike, which will do the knockback mechanic. He'll then cast Ordeal of Thunder for the AoE damage. When he casts Reproduce, this is going to summon 5 copies of him on one side of the platform. Some of them will imbue themselves with lightning, and then all of them will launch AoEs across the platform. The ones that imbued themselves with lightning will move twice as fast as the other ones, so you'll want to stand in front of the one that did not imbue itself, and then move in front of the others after the AoE passes. He'll follow this up with a Biragot's Ward on the tank, so just pop a cooldown to help reduce the damage some, before going back to the middle and knocking the outside of the platform away one more time. This time he will summon the hammer onto the platform along with the original hammers that are going to knock the platforms around. So the middle will no longer be a safe location as the hammer will be moved. So you'll want to stand inside the AoE on a side that will not be shifted towards the middle. He'll then summon the hammer one more time along with the hammers on the outside that will shift it. So just check your positioning as to which platforms are being moved, which ones are not, and position yourself appropriately so that you're not in the line of the AoE or being knocked off of the platform. And then for the third time, he'll summon the hammers one more time, along with going to the side and casting Biragot's Spire. So position yourself in one of the rows that will be knocked out of the AoE after it is hit by the hammer, and then reposition shortly afterwards to avoid the big AoE in the middle. After this, he'll turn the platform back to normal one more time. And the fight will just repeat from here. Builder's build will do the lightning AoEs after the Biragot's strike, so again, make sure you're positioning yourself at the inter-cardinal directions. Ordeal of Thunder is his party AoE. And that should be it for Biragot, the first boss. Now the loot in here is item level 590. You are only able to get one piece per week, but it is on par with the Radiant gear, so some of the pieces will possibly be better for you at this time, unless you've upgraded your Radiant gear. Once you move towards the second location, you'll see the second boss, but he will summon a ad shortly in. That will be what you'll fight in this area. Once you pick up Raugar's Embassy, make sure that you're facing him away from the group, as he does have a very large cone AoE that does very significant damage. When he casts Destructive Static, he will face one way and put his axe on his other shoulder. You will want to stand on the side that the axe is on and is glowing purple, as he will do a large AoE on the opposite side of the platform. When he raises his axe into the air, he begins channeling lightning. This will cause two sections of the platform to be cut out. They're always opposite of each other. So you'll want to position yourselves in the other two sections that do not have the large AoE on them. After this, he'll cast Lightning Bolt, which will cast several circular AoEs onto the platform in multiple groups. So you'll just want to reposition out of these as they are summoned onto the platform. Bolts from the blue will be party-wide damage, it just needs to be healed through. He'll then cut the sections of the room with the lightning again, so position inside of the sections that are not being cut off. At the same time, he'll do Destructive Static, so you'll need to position yourself on the back side of him, where it is holding his axe, so you are not hit by this AoE also. Then he'll cast Bolt Loop, which is going to be two expanding AoEs. So if you're in the center of the platform, you can let the outside AoE go off before repositioning into its AoE location, and then back into the middle afterwards. Destructive Strike is his tank buster ability, and it hits in a 90 degree in front of him. So make sure that no one else is standing on the side the tank is. He'll follow this up with bolts from the blue again for more raid-wide damage. Before cutting the sections of the platform one more time with the lightning, so position yourself in the sides that are not being sectioned off. And he'll also cast Lightning Bolt at this time, so you'll want to move out of the circular AoEs that are going to be appearing on the platform. After this, you'll move to the next platform, which is going to be a large hand where you will fight the second boss. It is possible to be knocked off of this platform or just fall off of the hand, so make sure that you are positioning yourself appropriately so that doesn't happen. You'll want to pick the boss up and try to keep him towards the center of the palm. Lightning Rain is just raid-wide damage that will need to be healed through. When he casts Advent of the 8, this will cause 2 of his portals around him to go towards the front of the platform. The other 2 will then appear in front of him and he will punch into one of them. Whichever color he is punching into is the side that will have a large AoE happen on it. So you'll want to pay attention to the color that he is punching. He can do the opposite color on opposite sides, so it's not depending on which side of him he is punching, it is purely based on the color. After this, he'll cast Broken World, which will summon a large proximity-based AoE onto the platform that you'll just want to move towards the fingers to reduce the damage from this. He'll then cast Ralgar's Beacon, which will be a large knockback towards the middle of the platform. You'll want to position yourself in line with the finger that has a direct knockback effect towards the finger. You do not want to go at an angle towards any of the other fingers. Going at an angle will cause you to be knocked off. Try to reposition him towards the middle as soon as possible, as he'll cast Advent of the 8 right afterwards. Before casting Hand of the Destroyer, for us it was on the blue side, so we all positioned on the red side. Destructive Bolt is a tank buster on every tank that actually has a small AoE to it also, so make sure that you're positioning away from the rest of the raid. It does do significant damage, so make sure you are popping a tank cooldown to help reduce this some. He'll then cast Advent of the 8 one more time. This time he'll cast Broken World right afterwards, and it will be on the side that he is going to be punching, so you'll want to stand underneath the AoE, as before it hits the platform he will punch it, causing the AoE to then be dispersed along the rest of the platform, and the safe zone being underneath the boss, or underneath the AoE that was originally there. I'll follow this up with another Advent of the 8th. From here on, he can do Advent of the 8th with Broken World, and he can punch the AoE, or he can not punch the AoE and punch the opposite side. It's kind of random, it doesn't always happen in the same order, so you'll want to pay attention as to what's actually happening on your screen. What we got was Broken World, and he's punching this same side, so we group up underneath the AoE one more time, so the AoE gets dispersed, and we're safe where we were. When it teleports to the center of the room, he'll cast Bronze Works. This is going to do multiple line AoEs that will detonate in a pattern that you'll position in the ones that are exploding second, and then position yourself towards the other section once they explode. At the same time, he'll do circular AoEs that you'll need to move out of, and then Destructive Bolt on all 3 tanks. So if you were hit by any of the mechanics previously, you'll need to heal up quickly before the Destructive Bolt hits. He'll follow this up with another Advent of the 8th, along with another Broken World. This time he was punching the opposite side for us, so since we couldn't stand on blue as it has the massive AoE knockback from his fist, we had to get towards the fingers on the red side to reduce the damage from the AoE. After this, multiple targets will also be marked with AoEs, so you'll want to just spread out so you're not overlapping these or hitting other party members. When you cast Hell of Lightning, this is going to summon the knockback mechanic in the center of the platform, along with multiple orbs on some of the fingers and in the palm. So you'll want to make sure that you're getting knocked towards the finger that has no AoEs on it and has a straight knockback, so that you're not pushed off of the platform and you're not pushed into any of the AoEs. I'll follow this up with another Advent of the 8th. This time for us, he summoned Broken World and then punched the AoE, so we positioned underneath the AoE. He'll follow this one up with a Lightning Raid for raid-wide damage. Followed by pouring into the middle and then casting another Bronze Works. And roughly around this time, if your group's like mine, you should get him down. Then a portal will open up and allowing you passage into the Heaven of Fire. In the Heaven of Fire, the first platform you come to will be another mini-boss. This one will have 2 lions on it, one being a lion and the other one a lioness. You will want to mark the lion as the one to kill first. These do not do very heavy damage. You can have one tank tank both of them, or you can split them between 2 different tanks. When the fight starts, they'll jump to the center of the room, doing double immolation, which will just do raid-wide damage that needs to be healed through. When they jump towards the center of the platform again, they will have a number of orbs over their head as to which AoEs are going to happen in which order. So the one with a singular orb over their head is going to do their AoE first, and then the one with the double orb will do it second. So for the first group, we moved out and then in after the first AoE happened. And then for the second group, we moved in and then out after the first one went off. After doing 2 sets of these circular AoEs, they'll then do AoEs that cover half of the platform. So this will function the exact same way, that you'll want to move onto the side that has the lion that has a 2 over its head, so that the first one can do its AoE and then you reposition to the other side. The reason you want to kill the lion first, as his AoEs are the ones that are around him, whereas the lioness has the AoEs that are away from her. So this will minimize your downtime when killing them if you focused on the lion first, as when the partner dies, they no longer do their AoEs that are timed, they just start doing their AoEs by themselves. So having it where everyone can be on the boss still doing damage to it will maximize your uptime and reduce the amount of time it takes to kill it. You'll then move towards the third boss, Azema. She'll start off the fight with Warden's Prominence. This is going to be raid-wide damage, so you'll just need to heal through. She goes to the center of the platform and lights her fans on fire. She will shortly after cast Solar Wings, which will do AoEs on 2 sides of her. So you'll want to position in the front and behind her so that you're not hit by these. They will leave multiple circular fire orbs in the location where the AoEs happen, that after a short period will also explode into circular AoEs. She'll then cast Warden's Warmth, which is going to be a tank buster on every tank again with a much larger area of effect, so make sure that you're positioning away from each other and the rest of the group. She'll follow this up with another Solar Wings. This time she will cast Sun's Shine, which is going to summon 3 copies of herself, which will move to a set of the orbs and kick them before they explode. So you'll want to position yourself so you're actually standing underneath where the ads were summoned. She'll then dance back to the center of the platform and casting Solar Fans. This will throw 2 fans out that will do AoE damage to anyone in line with them, so just make sure you're not standing in those. Before casting Radiant Rhythm, this will cause the fans to either move 4 or 5 times in 90 degrees around the platform. So you'll want to keep track of where the fans end up landing, and when she begins casting Radiant Finish, you'll want to position yourself towards the sides the fans are not on, as they will explode in large circular AoEs. After this, she'll cast Warden's Warmth one more time, so all tanks will want to spread out and use a few cooldowns to help reduce this damage some. When she casts Fleeting Spark, this will do an AoE around the entire platform except behind the boss. So you'll want to move behind the boss as quick as possible. The easiest way to tell is her feet will be on fire at this time, so if you move towards her burning feet, you should be able to position yourself behind her very quickly. She'll follow this up with a Solar Fold, which will do an AoE in every cardinal direction, so make sure to move towards the inner cardinal spaces. This will leave behind a residual AoE in a spot in all cardinal directions. The boss will follow this up with Sunshine, causing 2 copies of herself to appear. These copies will throw out a Gust AoE that will cause the fire to expand once it is hit by the gust. So the location that the copy is in does not actually light on fire. It's the area that is in front of them that the fire will be pushed towards. So you'll want to position for the first one inside one of the areas that has the ad on it. She'll follow this up with Warden's Prominence for raid-wide damage, before going to the center of the platform and beginning to cast Wildfire Ward. This will cause the entire platform other than the small triangular area in the middle to be covered in fire. She'll then summon 3 copies of herself that will dash across the platform in a set pattern. This pattern will be televised to you in the beginning, so you'll want to position yourself in the middle of the side that is going to launch the AoE first, and then reposition yourself in the order that the pattern was shown, always in the middle of the platform so you are not towards the tip on the other side. She'll then cast Noble Dawn, which will summon a large sun in the center of the platform that will summon multiple circular AoEs on the platform that will initially expand and then explode afterwards. So you'll just need to move in between them as they explode so you can avoid the AoEs. She'll then start casting Sublime Sunset. Whichever side of the sun that she jumps to, she will kick it towards the opposite side. So you'll want to just get behind her as quick as possible and move towards the back of the platform, as this will do a proximity-based AoE on the opposite side. She'll then jump back to the middle of the platform, casting Solar Fans one more time. She'll follow this up with Radiant Rhythm again, which can move the fans either 4 or 5 times. It's completely random, but it will be either 4 or 5 times, so just check which one it is. And then reposition yourself before she casts Radiant Finish. She'll follow this with a Fleeting Spark, so move towards her burning feet. She'll then cast Solar Wings, doing the AoE on both sides of her before casting Sunshine one more time. This time the copies can kick it either towards the middle or towards another copy on the same side. So find the one that is kicking it towards the copy on the same side and stand underneath that one. She'll follow this up with Warden's Warmth, so make sure that you're positioning yourself away from the rest of the group if you're a tank, using some tank cooldowns to help you survive. And then she'll do another Solar Fold. This Solar Fold will be followed with a Sunshine that will summon 3 copies of herself. leaving only one safe zone on the entire platform. You will want to find the one that has a copy on it that does not have a copy beside it, and this will be the safe zone. Should follow this with a Warden's Prominence for raid-wide AoE. Before jumping back to the center of the platform and doing another Noble Dawn, which will summon the large sun in the center with the 3 sets of circular AoEs on the ground that will continuously grow. This time, after the explosions, she will do a fleeting spark, so you'll need to regroup behind her before she attempts to cast Sublime Sunset, where you'll want to get behind her to avoid the damage from the proximity AoE.
To be judged, children of man.
When you pick up Nald, he'll start the fight off with As Above, So Below. This will do raid-wide damage and also change the platform to where there will be a red AoE and a blue AoE. The color that is rotating around the boss is the one that the AoE is going to happen in. So for the beginning, it should be on the blue side, so you'll want to move into the red. Second time he does it, it'll again do raid-wide damage, so you'll need to heal up. And then he'll follow it with Heat Above, Flames Below. This will cause him to rotate to his opposite side, causing the AoE to then be underneath him, so you'll need to stand in the blue portion to avoid it. He'll follow this up with Heaven's Trial, which will do 3 line AoEs and 1 group up AoE. So you'll need to spread out the line AoEs away from the group up AoE so that everyone can cover these appropriately. Directly after this, he will do Golden Tenant, which is a triple tank stack mechanic. So you'll want to group all 3 tanks up. If the tanks are dead or aren't able to make it to you in time, then you'll either want to pop your Invuln or most of your tank cooldowns to help you survive this. After this, so again cast As Above, So Below, causing raid-wide damage, and then the platform will transform. He'll then cast Far Above, Deep Below. If his color is red, then he will do his line AoE, so you'll want to be grouped up to split this damage. If the color was blue, then he would do circular AoEs under the 3 marked targets that will move in the direction that they are summoned. He'll follow this up with another As Above, So Below, this time causing AoEs that to appear on the platform in red and blue that will move in the direction the arrows are pointing. So he will also change his color at this time. When he casts Hell of Fire, this will do 180-degree AoE on one side of the platform, so you'll just want to position behind the boss to avoid it. When he flies up into the sky and casts Wayward Soul, this will begin dropping meteors onto the platform that explode in large circles. There will be 3 dropped at a time, which will leave one side of the platform available. So you'll just reposition yourself in between the sets towards the side that your meteor is not dropping on. There will be 4 sets of these before he begins summoning them around the platform. So once the first one drops, you'll just begin rotating around the platform with the AoEs so that you stay ahead of it. He'll then cast Hell of Fire one more time, but rotate colors at the same time so that the AoE actually will go behind him instead of in front of him. He'll then position himself on the north side of the platform and begin casting Fired Up. At this time, he'll begin channeling AoEs in a pattern before casting Fortune's Flux. Depending on if he did a knockback mechanic or a circular AoE, depends on where you'll want to position yourself. For us, we got the knockback mechanic first and then the circular AoE second. So we positioned ourselves towards the side of the knockback mechanic so that we were not pushed into the AoE that happened second. He'll then follow this up with a second group that will have 3 in it. This time we got a circular AoE to begin with, followed by 2 knockbacks. So we avoided the middle one, which would be the knockback first, then move towards the second one and have it push you towards the third, so that both knockbacks don't end up pushing you into the outside of the platform. If you are pushed into the outside, you will receive a burning debuff that lasts for quite a long time and does substantial damage. After this set, he'll cast Soul's Measure, which will transform the platform into a left and right side. He'll then summon 3 copies onto the platform of different party members. They will be linked to the parties that they are copying. These groups should automatically go to the ads that they are linked to, as there will be a group up mechanic during this part that you'll need people to split the damage of. Each of these soul vessels can cast Twin Gaze, which will be a large cone AoE that you'll just want to move out of. When they cast Magnetic Spell, this will do the group up mechanic that you'll just want to group up with your party to split the damage. Each of these has a magic vulnerability on it, so you can't group more than one group of them, or you'll end up amplifying the damage and killing everyone. Once all 3 soul vessels are dead, he will add a weight to every party member, and you have to balance the scales that are behind him. The weight of the bodies is an extreme amount compared to everyone else, so almost everyone will need to move to the opposite side of the bodies. And if they line up perfectly, then you will not be instantly killed by the next mechanic. If the scales are off even just by a little bit, this will instantly kill everyone. If you did the scales mechanic correctly, along with the fight not ending, you will also receive a damage up buff for the rest of the fight. Then the fight will go back to phase 1 and start repeating as above, so below. He'll start off with once above, ever below, which will cause the AoEs that will move across the platform. I positioned incorrectly on this one, getting myself killed, but just make sure that you're positioning on the side that is opposite of the color surrounding him. He will immediately follow this up with Heaven's Trial, which will do the 3 large cone AoEs and the group up mechanic. So make sure that you're spreading out and splitting this damage appropriately. I'll do another as above, so below. For us, he was red, which would cause the AoE in the center of the platform, along with the line AoE that you need to group up to split. Golden Tenants will be the triple tank stack. I'll then rotate colors and cast Hell of Fire, so move behind him. I'll then fly up into the sky and do Wayward Soul again, causing the meteors to start dropping onto the platform, so you just want to position yourself on the side that does not have an orb dropping onto it. Then cast Hell of Fire one more time. Before doing Stygian Tenant for a triple tank buster and circular AoEs around the tanks, so make sure that you're spreading out. Hell's Trial will be raid-wide damage that just needs to be healed through. Follow this up with another as above, so below. Forecasting once above, ever below. So make sure you're positioning on this opposite color that is surrounding him. I'll do another Stygian Tenant, so make sure that the tanks are moving away from the rest of the group. For another as above, so below. For us during this fight, he did the red every single time we got into that mechanic, but remember, if he does stay on the blue color, that the people have the blue following them will want to position themselves so that the direction of the arrows for the blue AoE is going off of the platform, so that when the AoE starts happening, it will go off of the platform and not hit the rest of the group. But this should be it for Aglaia. I hope this helped everyone out. If it did, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you on the next one.